got to where we can finish up this wiring. I got this run up the wall down there. Got a run up. Got 90 on. Runs across the top. Be 90 there. And then I went ahead and screwed the plates to the walls just to make it easier to measure. Because with where I wanted, putting those where I wanted the outlets to be and making sure they didn't move, then it was easier to measure everything. So then I just went ahead and cut out all the pieces that I need. This is just a cover for the 90. They just, after you run your wire, you just snap those right on over top of them, so it makes getting around the corners real easy. And yes, I am using Romex wiring. What kind of wire you use is up to you. I am not arguing either way about it. I have researched it, and I've read all the arguments about you should only use stranded wire in camper and stuff. But the arguments and the reason why they say you should use stranded wire is because it's easier to bend. It makes it easier to run, like on a chassis or something. If you're trying to fish wires through, it is much easier to run than this solid wire. And the other main issue that they say is that the constant jarring and bending of the wire traveling down the road can work harden it and cause a brittle spot for your wire to burn through or break off. Get a bad connection, break off, burn through. And those are valid points. They really are. But you got to make your own decisions. And their issue is that the wire moves back and forth and it gets brittle, and that you need the stranded wire to be flexible to run it. But I am running it in conduit, so it is not going to move. It's not going to flex. Everything's secured, so there's no weight on anything to be able to flex it, and so it's not going to move. So that takes care of that issue. And running it in conduit, I am not trying to fish it through and around and over everything in the world. So it's basically just a straight run with a couple bends, and here we are. So I already had this wire, and solid wire is a better conductor for the 120 anyhow than stranded wire. Something about surface resistance and different things. I don't know, it's way above my pay grade. But do your own research, and you make your own decision for your own stuff. I ain't saying one way is right or wrong, but from what I've read and the different things, I feel like I have mitigated the problems with it flexing, and I can get it ran where it needs to be run. So needing stranded wire to fish it through places is not a concern, and I feel like it's going to be secured plenty so that it won't be able to move enough to bend anything and break. So that's why I'm running it. But alright, let's get back to getting this done. Got these mounted. I'm going to go ahead and pull these off the wall. And when you go to screw these on the wall, you need to back these ground screws out because they actually stick through the back a ways. So, I mean, it's no big deal. You'll loosen it up when you go to put the ground on. But if you want your plate to be nice and straight with something, you don't need that back there holding it crooked. But the reason I'm taking those back down is for some odd reason that, let's see if I can show you here. These plates hook below this channel in here, and they have to go clear on back to there, and they are a tight fit, and I have not been able to shove them on by hand. I've had to either bend them all out, which then makes them loose, or drive them on by a hammer. So I'm going to take these off. I'm going to drive this piece in between these two, and then I got one more little short piece I'm going to put on the end of the other one, and then I'll screw these back on the wall and run the wire. Get my hammer. Use my makeshift countertop workbench here. See? And we got it drove all the way on there. Yeah, that was all good, but that was I needed that plate in the other section. That's alright. I need, some pros and cons to this stuff is it's handy for what it is. But I don't know if they make this stuff in PVC. Might have been a little nicer to use, easier to cut, and you don't have to worry about all the sharp edges on these things that you need to deburr after cutting it. So I got to put this little short piece on here to connect the 90. It's the 90. The 90s slide in a whole lot easier, so I can just push that in there when I'm ready for it. So I'm going to go ahead and drive this short piece on there. That is not working. Well, I'm going to take that short piece back off. Drive this one on again. That one. Do this one. Alright, so that's another thing you got to remember when you make your measurements. This stuff goes in about 3/8 of an inch on each end, so if you're going between boxes, you got to make your piece 3/4 of an inch longer. The nice thing is, then you come back and you pop these tabs out, whichever tab you're using, and they sit over top. They sit over top of it, so even if your cut's not very square, it covers it up. You never see it. The other thing, they give you these. That's the other thing I don't really care about too much. You have to buy this pack of accessories, and it comes with 3 different things in there. You have well, actually it comes with 4 different things, but you got these little inserts. You come with some connectors to join like 2 sticks together, and then it comes with a little cover that you snap over the seam, and then it's got some it's got a bracket that you can just snap over top of it and screw your piece to the wall. And it also has another bracket. I've used most of those up. Here they are. Here's one. You can screw this one just to the wall, and then snap the track in after you got it screwed up to the wall. So it comes with all of those, but you don't necessarily need all that stuff, but you need these. You need a lot of these. Every time you cut a piece and make a joint, you're supposed to put one of these inside to give a nice, I don't know if you guys can see, but this is beveled and nice and flat, so it covers up that sharp edge and everything, so that way you're not scraping your wires up when you feed them through there. But I looked and looked and looked, and I could not just find like a pack of those, because I needed more of those than anything. So because when you put your track in between, like you screw this one to the wall, then you screw this one to the wall, you don't really need to put anything on this track because it's not going anywhere when it's stuck in between of them. So that's one of another aggravating things, is having to buy a bunch of those packs just to get those inserts. Alright, let's get this screwed back on the wall. I've moved stuff around here trying to find things to show you guys, and now I can't find my last insert. Spend more time looking for stuff than you do actually doing the project. Oh, there we go. I found it. This one put in there. All right. Got another, you usually put 2 screws in them. I'm just putting one in till I get everything lined up the way I want to, so that way I can kind of move stuff as I need. And then when everything's good and where I want it, then I'll put in the last couple screws. And it's going to be a little tight getting that wire around that corner. These usually ain't this hard, but I can't see what I'm doing. There we go. Alright, looks good. Alright, now I probably should have put that on here first. Yeah, I did that backwards. After all that fighting to get that piece in there. Yeah, maybe that'll work. Maybe I'll just put this one up in here. I don't know, I'm probably in your guys' way. You guys might as well get a front row seat to me struggling. There we go. It's a lot easier when you can see what you're doing. This is also why I haven't screwed anything down as far as these elbows go, or the 90s, because you can, you got some room to move them in or out if you need just a little bit extra. If you need another 1/8 of an inch to make everything line up, you can pull it down. And then once you get it in place, you can put your screw in your bracket here. You put your 2 screws down here in this bracket, and this piece will not be going anywhere, and neither will this one, because it's sandwiched between here and this plate. Then you will run our wire, stick it out here in the box, cut it, short piece over there, and then it'll be time to put the covers over. Let's see if I can get this run down through here. Oh, I probably ought to. I almost forgot. I need to put some screws in those. They didn't provide you any screws for fastening this stuff, so you gotta use whatever screws are appropriate for your project. Now I can run the wire. Now, this will be the hard one because I can't back it up very far because of the cabinet. I know. Stranded wire would be a lot easier. But it ain't bad when you can get to it. I couldn't reach that upper bracket very well. about out of wire, so my spool doesn't want to let go of it. So instead of banging it against my cabinets and everything else, I'm just going to hold this up here and cut me off a chunk. Got a little more room to run it this way. Problem is, I bend that to get it in there, and then it wants to run into that insert on the other side. Well, everything looks good. It's fairly straight. I won't bore you guys with trying to wire up the outlets. If you don't know how to wire up the outlet, I'm sure there are lots of videos. It's pretty simple. White on silver, black on bronze, green or bare on green for ground. But if you're not sure about all that stuff, then you might want to watch some wiring videos or pay somebody else to do it for you. Alright, I got this one all buttoned up. Looks pretty good. I'll show you. See these corners, they just snap on. So I'll line it up, put it over. You might have to give it a whack to get it over some of them. There. There we go. So that one's not quite on yet. There we go. Just a little more pressure in one spot versus just spread out over it. It snapped right on there. There's that. And then got that one wired up. And I'll show you putting these on, these covers. You can go ahead and wire the outlet up like that. Let's see, we've got a pop, and we're going to go on. It doesn't matter. Well, it does matter. You have to line up. Got to line up this hole and this hole with this hole and this hole. That's where your bolts go to bolt this on. So you got to make sure you know which way this is, because I guess it doesn't matter either way, does it? All right. Well, good to know. I was thinking it did, but it don't. That's what I get for thinking. But anyhow, gonna pop this one out. They have two different lines here. They have two different series of metal conduit. This is a 500 series, which is like 1/2 inch, and then the 700 series, which is closer to 3/4. But this is 700 series stuff, so I gotta take this last little piece out too. But it just bends right out of there like that. And then you can, even if you do have two wires coming, you can still fish this down behind of it and get it around, so that way you can wire this up without fighting around the box. And that'll sit back there. Gotta get the bolts. Bolts or screws, whatever you want to call them. I keep calling them bolts because, yeah, they're a machine thread, and I only got just that little bit of screws on there, or threads on there. So You don't have none too much extra, so sometimes getting, because by the time you get that bolt or screw, whatever you want to call it, almost back in there, you ain't got nothing to hold on to it to keep it straight. See if I can, Alright. Sorry about my head being in the way. I had to see to get it lined up though. As long as you can see what you're doing, it's not too bad. Now you do have to be mindful about where you run your wires in your boxes, because you need to get them so that they'll lay down, which I hopefully have them so they'll flatten out. But you got to put these two bolts through, and then you have your two bolts to hold your outlet in that are long enough to go back into your wires. So you don't want to be running these along your wire, cutting the insulation and causing you a nice hot box to ground out. That is a bit more effort when you got 4 wires in the one box, but that's why I went with the metal kit over the PVC kit, because the boxes were smaller, lower profile. There we go, all buttoned up. I don't think that looks too bad. Would I have preferred it behind the wall and flush mounted? Sure, but I ain't, there ain't room, and I wasn't going to try to take that wall board back off and try to fish those wires through the paneling. And then this way too, I don't have to worry about ever accidentally putting a screw through the 120. But I don't think that looks too bad. I mean, you put the cabinet up here over top of it, and you're not really even going to notice those back there, I don't think. Alright, that is the electrical all wrapped up. I'm not sure what's next. Probably, let's see. I'll probably go ahead and mount that upper cabinet next. I'm going to put some, I got LEDs inside this cabinet we use at night, basically kind of like a night light if anybody needs to get up to move around, get a drink, go outside, whatever. We leave those lights on red. They're real dim, and it just nice little glow. And then with the kids, we put them to bed early, and if we need to see, we don't want to turn on a bright light, we can always like bump them up to a blue or a green or something that puts out, or turn up the light, and we can see to get it in the drawers and see to get it in the fridge and stuff, and it just helps see in here, and plus gives a little bit cool effect. But I gotta get that run. I'm gonna have to drill a hole in the side of the cabinet to fish the plug through, And then I think I'm going to put a strip of LEDs underneath of this cabinet behind the face frame where you won't be able to see them, but when you turn them on it'll light up the countertop. And probably do that next. And let's see, I got to get the doors finished up. I still got to build a door for that upper cabinet, and I have to get the hinges mounted and all these doors down here. But we are quickly wrapping this up, and I'll be able to, once I get the doors all ready to go on, then it'll be time to stick the countertop in, screw it down, and put the doors on, and pretty much call this part of it done. So, alright, when I get ready to put that cabinet up and stuff, I'll be back and we'll put that cabinet up and mount up the microwave and the air fryer, and maybe I'll show you those LEDs, putting them on and getting that stuff hooked up. So till then, we'll catch you in the next one.